the talks are going to start pretty soon again on drafting the hopefully the final comprehensive agreement. There's a big role for the IAEA in this deal. Inspections and we know that Iran accepting and adhering to the additional protocol is part of the deal. Now, is this going to consist of inspection of the full fuel cycle and all other suspicious sites, or is it going to be a limited one?
Well, I don't think any of us know that, but we're all following it as closely as we can. This term, suspicious sites, I think is a poison pill. I don't think anybody in the world would accept an agreement that foreign powers or an international organization will show up every time they think there's a suspicious site. But if we get beyond that silly piece of language, the IAEA and Iran have been conducting the interim inspections since January of last year, and they've been getting along extremely well. It's been going extremely well. It is largely the additional protocol, and they're behaving as if there is an additional protocol. The new agreement is even better than an additional protocol, and I think it'll be very effective.
However, you mentioned that the IAEA is pleased so far, but at the same time, the IAEA is insisting on inspecting sites like Parchin.
Well, I'm very sad that the IAEA is making these requests, because first, their information that there's something happening at Parchin is very, very poor. Everything that they've published about why they want to go there is questionable. So, for starters, they're asking to go to a place that's not in their expertise. They have nothing to do with explosives and missile systems and detonation systems for explosives. It's not in the IAEA's mandate, charter, or expertise. So I'm kind of bothered by that. The other is that because the IAEA has such good access to the rest of the nuclear fuel, to the nuclear fuel cycle, to the whole nuclear fuel cycle, from mining through enrichment, they should stick to what they do very well, and then there won't be a problem.
So you're saying the reports that IAEA has from whatever source it is regarding Parchin and that the explosive tests were conducted there could not possibly be related to the nuclear program?
You say could not possibly be related. What I'm saying is the information in the reports is questionable. It's hard to figure out where it comes from. It's badly written. It's technically poorly assessed. So given all of those things, there's very little in what IAEA is asking for in the possible military dimensions area that makes much sense. For example, they want to go and visit a supposed explosive chamber that was being designed in 1999 and 2000. They claim it was built in 2000, and it's got walls this thick, and it's the size of a London bus. You don't build that in a few months. You don't have a program to do that. So any engineer who looks at this says, well, this is garbage. And so why don't we go back and figure out what it is they've been told and what makes sense? And I could give you many other examples.
Okay, sir. Mr. Kelley, the U.S. Congress and Israel are saying that the understanding they reached in Lausanne not only will stop Iran from going towards production of nuclear weapons, but it also paves the way for Iran to move in that way. Is this a fair assessment?
I don't think Israel was in the talks in Lausanne, so I'm not interested in what they have to say. The U.S. Congress is pursuing this in an extremely political way, and I think they're wrong. I think having 10 years of future cooperation with Iran, having hundreds of people interacting with Iranians, having them inspecting the nuclear fuel cycle, and some new things like looking at all the procurement of nuclear-related goods is an extremely positive outcome. The alternative is to cut yourself off from Iran, be completely blind to what Iran is doing, having no access to Iran where you can make assessments of what's happening and maybe have another war. I think if you compare those two things, the first is highly preferable.
Sir, I have a question regarding the Arak reactor, research reactor. It is supposed to be redesigned. However, it still be a heavy water reactor. Now, with this redesigning, will it still be producing plutonium?
You're asking for some details I'm not up on. I thought they were going to redesign as a light water reactor. Let's assume that you're right, that it continues to be heavy water with a different matrix. Yes, it will produce plutonium. All reactors produce some plutonium. It's the way in which it's operated that determines whether the plutonium is useful or good. The second thing is the U.S. fact sheet, and I have to rely on the U.S. fact sheet, says Iran has agreed not to reprocess any of the fuel and to ship spent fuel out of the country. If those two things are true, even if the fuel contains plutonium, if they don't reprocess it and they ship it away, I think there's nothing really to be concerned about.
Sir, at what point in time will the IAEA be able to give Iran the standard assistance that it is already giving to other countries regarding their nuclear activities, their peaceful nuclear activities?
That's a good question. The Safeguards Department of the IAEA controls the assessment of what a country is doing. And then there's another department of the IAEA called Technical Cooperation that does grants to developing countries. They were doing grants to Iran until just a few years ago when this thing became so political. For the Safeguards Department to make the kind of determination that they normally make, that there are no unexplained activities in the country, could probably take more than 10 years. And I don't think that would be the right metric to use to determine when to start helping again. That would have to be for other political purposes. 10 years is too long to come to a determination that nothing suspicious is going on.
But then that should really put everybody's mind at ease that nothing suspicious is going on and that the deal is probably working. Do you, from what has been put out both in the fact sheet and also in news reports and media, do you feel comfortable with what they're saying regarding the centrifuges that Iran will be allowed to maintain and operate?
Yes, I do. I think it was a diplomatic coup that both sides compromised to a great extent. Iran was left with the possibility of saving face, continuing a program which they say is of national importance, which I think is a marginal claim. But nevertheless, they can save face. And at the same time, the P5+1 has limited them to a very small number of centrifuges. They're a fairly obsolete design. They fail frequently. They're inefficient. And so there is a program that's going to continue, but it's really a token program. So I think what's been reached in the centrifuge area is a diplomatic coup. That was very well done by both sides.
Mr. Kelley, this you probably, I don't know, I shouldn't probably ask this question, but how advanced, how efficient do you think Iran's second, third, fourth generation centrifuges are or could be? And there's and under the deal, they're supposed to be locked up under IAEA supervision.
Okay, well that's going to be a purely speculative answer. But the machines that they're running today originated in the Netherlands in around 1971 to 73, and it's a very obsolete and bad design. The kind of machines that are being run today, the knowledge to build them is pretty well scattered around the world. Just in rough numbers, I would think Iran in 10 years could be running something that's half as efficient as a good European machine in the Urenco countries. So, but that's speculation. But certainly, I think if I had to set about and build a better machine from the baseline that they're working from in 10 years, I could be starting to approach the European standard. That presumes, by the way, that they can get their hands on the right materials. especially carbon fiber and high-strength aluminum.
So basically, really, this deal is going to set Iran back in for a good number of years before it can really be considered an advanced to have an advanced nuclear program.
I don't see that Iran is trying to find its place in the world to be one of the major nuclear suppliers, but I might be wrong. Iran probably will occupy the same niche in nuclear power worldwide as Argentina does now in, say, 10 or 15 years. Argentina has a very nice niche market in small research reactors, some aspects of the fuel cycle. They've shown no interest in trying to compete with the really big boys. It strikes me that Iran could make money and be in the market in that area in 10 or 15 years.
And with what is being negotiated, you think Iran will be able to produce the medical isotopes that it desires and has been saying that this is all we want?
Well, your question's an interesting one. I've never thought that the Arak reactor was located in the right place to be a medical isotope supplier. In addition to which, it's really too high power for what it is they want to do. It was a very poor choice of reactors. I would have thought they'd be better off to build something smaller, something closer to the users, mostly in Tehran, and maybe just do it by upgrading the Tehran research reactor. But Arak is really too big and remote and clunky.
So what purpose do you think it could serve now with the redesign, whether it's heavy water redesigned or it's just completely light water?
Lots of countries like to have a 40 megawatt research reactor, and I think you find yourself in a place like with the enrichment program where Iran has invested a great deal of national pride and effort in producing this reactor, and if they just give it up altogether, then they'll be in a position of having thrown that away and having kowtowed to Western interests. So it seems to me that if you keep it going at a reduced basis, and if it is ever finished, which is one of the things you might ask about, it can be used as a research reactor for a growing scientific base. But it is poorly located, etc. Why that reactor was ever built and why it was built where it was, I think remains an open question.